Not yet.
But we
He
ain't
said not yet. Not yet, not yet, not yet.
And we're not from different.
Save all the good things for when the cameras are rolling. Just to kind of introduce why we're all kind of here on a Saturday afternoon, I host a show here called Minority Reports. It's a digital show, and we're doing an episode based around like the political ideologies of the Black community and how they differ and where they overlap. And so we've brought, you know, a nice eclectic group of brown people here to kind of discuss politics and how we all come to our political ideologies as members of the Black community in America. Hopefully what this will do is allow our audience who probably wouldn't find themselves in this type of an environment to have this type of a conversation to learn something. So with all that being said, 3 words or less, when you think of Donald Trump, what is the first thing that comes to mind? And Rob, why don't we start with you?
Strong.
Make America great.
Oh, me.
Can we
We'll slide on
come
the
back to
row,
me?
We'll come down.
Can we come back to me?
Oh, his ancestors' wildest dreams.
Very scary.
Trash.
Man.
Anti-Black.
Necessary.
I just think unicorn in the sense of just causing
Unicorn.
so much discussion.
The reason why Donald Trump is in this spotlight right now is because of our past failed governments. For the simple fact that when the Republican primary happened, there was like 16 different candidates. And don't get me wrong, there was like really good ones, really stature to the point that everyone in this group will be like, oh yeah, I can see why he won. And Donald Trump became an opportunist and knocked down every single person week by week, like it was literally watching a different season of The Apprentice. Look what has America done, that a guy from the outside can just walk in there, bing, bang, boom, and take down these iconic, structured politicians that we looked up to throughout our whole lives.
Drain the swamp, as it was put.
Yeah.
But can we talk about that, though? Like, this whole notion of, like, a guy from the outside, like, that's part of my issue, right? Like, if you really know how this country is being run, like, the country has always been run by rich billionaires. So, like, he's not from the outside. This country has always been run by pharma. This country has always been run by banks. This country is literally run by the industries that he made his millions and billions in. So like this whole thing like, oh, he's a political outside. No, because politics has always been run by capitalism, which is the system that has always suppressed minorities. So like that's even in itself.
Always. Capitalism has always oppressed minorities?
I don't
We're the
think
first
so.
capital in this country.
I don't think so.
I do have to jump in and take a little bit of umbrage with this idea that capitalism is some sort of system that oppresses minorities to this point. And also, I don't like saying minorities. We want to talk about Black people. Like, let's just talk about Black people. Because I'm not a minority. I'm not a person of color. I'm Black.
Can we all agree?
All right, so
agree.
I just want to make that point. All right?
Absolutely.
So when we look at capitalism as something that has oppressed minorities or is oppressing minorities, we remove from ourselves the capacity to use capitalism in order to build our communities, in order to move forward for ourselves.
Yeah.
By show of hands, who here voted for Donald Trump?
All day.
Rob, you did not
baby.
vote for Donald Trump.
I did not vote in the 2016 election.
Tell me why.
I didn't vote in the 2016 election because where I was in my life, I didn't feel like either of those candidates had earned my vote. I considered myself a Democrat at the time. I loathed Hillary Clinton and the entire Clinton machine. And if you really want to get into it, I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary.
Oh, Jesus.
You want to talk about a conversion? You want to talk about a conversion? I voted for Bernie Sanders in the New York State primary. Like that's where I was. Okay.
For the Black conservatives, how do you align with white conservatives when they speak mal of Black people, just in terms of how, especially they speak of Black men?
You call them out. My whole thing is like
not
for
even
me.
calling them out, but just how you stand with them when they are speaking
Well,
mal
how do
against
you
you.
stand with Hillary Clinton
Like,
when
it's
she
not-
calls, kids super predators?
But I'm
So
just
that's
saying
the
so
thing.
overtly and continuously. How do you do that?
It's overt and continuous from the Democratic Party as well. So
People are people.
Either
It's a
way,
war.
People are people.
Either way, anywhere you go. You know what I'm
there's
saying?
gonna be racists
But there
everywhere you
are
go.
going to be some racists all over the place. So now it's like, okay, yo, watch your mouth. Like, I'm not, okay, we're not going that route.
What is your reaction when you see a Black person wearing a MAGA hat?
I didn't hear the last part.
When you see a
MAGA
black
hat.
person wearing a MAGA hat, 3 words or less, what is your reaction? Go for it.
I thought she said.
That was his. That was
No,
his
we're
3
waiting
words
for
or
you to
less.
speak. Okay, but that's his response.
Yeah.
3 words or less? There's a story. I don't know. That's 4. I don't know. There's a story.
Independent-minded brother.
I got 1 word. It's bold.
That's so funny. He said, brother.
Confused.
Oh, cringe. Cringe.
Ew.
You do you.
Looks good on you. It can't fit on my head.
What is your
That's okay.
perception of black conservatives?
Believing in Trump's rhetoric, just morally, I don't understand. Because morally, just him as a person, as an entity, is just super corrupt, and his ideologies. I don't understand how anyone can be about it, but especially a black person, just as an identity as a black person, I don't understand it.
Which one's worse?
But the thing about it is that he asked you about conservatism and then you took it to Trump.
Like, girl,
he
just
said not
say what
wearing
you
a
feel
MAGA
about
hat.
black
We
conservatives.
were
Let's
talking about
go.
MAGA hats.
okay.
Yeah, that was my connection. Yeah.
For those of us who identify as conservative, right? I want to hear about your treatment within the black community, being an outspoken black conservative, and then I want to hear about the perceptions that you think people have of you. Whoever wants to start.
Well, I'll start with myself.
Go for it.
Because, so look, you're gonna hear, and I'm gonna let Bevelyn speak to the black perspective, but I'm gonna speak from the gay perspective,
Sure.
all right? Because I came out as a black gay conservative about 6 months ago. I have been treated horribly by other gay people. The only friends that have dumped me, or quote unquote friends that have dumped me for being conservative Republican, have been the gay ones. The people who give me the most
much
grief
for love.
on social media have been the gay ones. The people that call me the nastiest, all kinds of oh, house nigga, Uncle Tom, all this stuff. These have been gay people, or the people from the quote unquote tolerant and inclusive LGBTQ community. All right? So this is what my experience has been. And being somebody that has been an advocate and still consider myself an advocate, just not in the way that they want me to be, I was very shocked by that. Because I think that when I came out as conservative, they like to push forward this veneer of inclusion and tolerance, and that dropped like that. So it was the nastiest treatment that I had ever seen, and I never expected it. And you never expect it as a gay person until it happens to you.
For me, it started with my high school friends. Everybody was unfriending me on Facebook because, I was talking about the Trump election and I went to the inauguration and all of that. So and then it trickled down to my family. Aunts won't speak to me. Even now, I got aunts that don't talk to me because I want to be white. So it's I get this stigma all the time.
Wow.
Oh, you want to be white and you done moved to New York City and now you think you up there with the big city folk and you want to be white. It seems like when I speak of what I speak of, it's only the fact that I just want to be white. And that's so far-fetched from the truth. I've been called a bed wench. I've been called... And I'm talking about from my black brothers who on they page be talking about black queens and all of this stuff like that. But the moment I don't agree with nothing they talking about, now I'm a bed wench. Now you know what I'm saying? I'm all this other stuff. And it's just to be honest with you, ain't nobody been boss enough to say none of this stuff in my face. And they not gonna. All of this is via
Believe
social
me, they
media. We know this. But at the same time, it's just hatred. It's been nothing but hatred. And, for me, it's even when I deal with liberals who may have their little mindset or way they think, I ain't gonna disrespect them and call them all types of names. It's I've gained all that flack and disrespect. And it's just because I wanna be white, this is what I get.
So does anyone else? Sure.
I made a statement online. I got a lot of people commenting on it. I didn't see true racism in this country until I became a conservative.
Facts.
Because I've seen hate speech come from people. You don't talk about left always talking about hate so much. I saw true hate coming from the left, and it was white people calling me Uncle Tom. Pretty much, white people tell me I'm not black enough, which is racist.
No, it's their girl.
And
It's their
when
girl.
you call them out on it and you say they're racist, they're
a
like,
good
no, I'm not.
Twilight Zone
Then they think
episode.
about it well, yeah, I am kind of being racist. That's how racist the left still is. And then I had
you
family
might
members,
think
like
white
she said, my aunts that don't talk to me anymore. I have high school friends, students of childhood that don't talk to me, unfriended me, and a lot of white friends as well. Now I'm not talking about just black friends, but I'm talking about people on the left in general. Just have that hate in their heart, in my opinion, and it just that's
I mean,
what I
And
felt.
it's so interesting that on the left, like the wokies is what I call them. These are the people that are woker than you could ever be. But the wokies give the white liberals of the left this space to tell a black person
Not me.
how to be black
that
and
ain't
how
me.
you are supposed to experience
It's not you,
blackness
girl, but
and how
believe
you're
me, there
supposed
are.
to think as a black person.
Who here voted for Barack Obama? Damn near everybody.
Well, no.
Twice.
Campaign for him in 08.
Both terms.
So did I.
He had
can I
a great
ask-
campaign. I just didn't vote for him.
A semi-personal question. Did anyone vote for him just because he was black?
Not just, but that was a big reason I voted for him.
See, I'll admit, it's really funny because I'm a conservative, and I will admit that I voted for Barack Obama in 2008 purely because he was black.
Yes.
I'll admit that.
And I did too.
You know, I'll admit it. And the reason why I voted for him is because I was so open to and so available to be used by all of the systems that made that person president, right? And for all of the systems that were promoted to me, this idea that just because he is biracial, African American, whatever you want to call it, that he is going to somehow have my best interests at heart, that he somehow comes from the same experience that I did.
Nowhere
Barack
near.
Obama did not come from the same experience as me. Let me tell you something.
wasn't
I grew up
from down
black
the
and
block.
poor in Akron, Ohio. Okay? This person was born and raised in wealth and privilege his entire life. And the idea that this person was somehow more connected to me because we share the same skin color is crazy.
Yep.
But I bought it, and it was sold to me. I bought it.
And I made that same mistake in 08. I voted for him mainly because he was a black man.
Same mistake.
Yeah, I made same mistake. It was a mistake,
It's a
definitely.
mistake.
Yeah, and 8 years later,
Statistically,
the
it was.
mistake, that's one reason why I'm conservative now, because I said when I was young, more naive, I was willing to vote for somebody because of the way they look. And look what it did for me, absolutely nothing.
Listen,
So I
no-
make sure next time I make a vote, it's gonna be with some substance. It's gonna make sure where somebody's gonna have what they're saying and what their actions is gonna make me cause their vote. And that's
So
why I
before
voted for him.
we move forward, by a show of hands, who is disappointed with the Barack Obama presidency?
I'm
Why?
disappointed with President. I'm disappointed with all of them. I can talk about a couple of things. I can talk about a couple of things, right?
Sure.
We put a black face on a white imperialist nation and expected that change was going to happen. My grandmother, my ancestors, especially my grandmother, my grandfather, they were sold that that was what the American dream was supposed to look like, that a black man could come in this country, that black people could come from chattel slavery and achieve the highest position in the land. Unfortunately, the way that these systems of oppression work, especially K through 12, we're often taught that leadership, what's gonna lead black people to liberation is gonna come from a white man. And, so like when we then had a black face up there, it really felt like, we really close. Like we really, really close. But then it was a lot of unlearning that a lot of us had to do, a lot of unlearning that we all still currently have to do to understand that our oppression, where our oppression came from and the fact that like we're never going to be led to liberation in a binary system. A binary system for black people is literally always going to be us choosing the lesser of two evils, no matter how you slice it or dice it. Whether it's a Republican in office, whether it's a Democrat in office, I'm always choosing my death either as a blunt force blow or death by 1,000 paper cuts. And it tends, why I guess in general black people always lean Democratic is because that death is by 1,000 paper cuts, as opposed to what I'm dealing with right now where I'm watching HIV funding being stripped as a black queer HIV positive person, where I'm watching trans people losing all of their rights in this country as an LGBTQ person.
What
So-
rights are trans people losing?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I'm
someone
curious
said
about that myself.
So let's,
Yeah,
you want to
I'm
respond?
serious.
No, I'm
Okay,
serious too.
I'll go
You
for
want to
it.
respond?
Yeah, I can take it.
Please
I can
do.
take
No,
it.
go for it. I'm
I'll
really
gladly take it. I'll gladly take it. So we can start with, in 2017, the Office of National AIDS Policy was taken away. There is no more Office of National AIDS Policy. Transgender women, including especially black trans people, are the highest infected people of HIV in this country, including black MSMs. So you had that office taken away. You then have had where $586 million was removed from the Ryan White Fund and transferred for the border separations. Ryan White money is what pays for people to have HIV care in this country when they cannot afford it. That includes transgender people. You have where 7 words were removed from the CDC funding including vulnerable, transgender, and scientific base. So now companies that supported trans rights and trans people can't write grants to get money to help that particular demographic. You have the transgender military ban. When I say that they are literally attacking LGBTQ rights, this is not a joke. It is just coming, because it's so much bullshit going on, you just miss that every day these little things are happening. What is actually happening? Because all of these things are happening.
I just wanted to say, it's curious to me, because I'm somebody who's gay as well. I'm gay. I'm not queer. I'm not LGBTQ. I am a gay black
So
man.
you can't speak to what I'm speaking to.
No, I can't. And what's so curious to me is that we talk about our community as if everybody that's transgender is infected with HIV or has housing insecurity, as everybody that's gay and lesbian, like black or male
That's
or
not
whatever.
even what I mean, that's not what I
like,
said.
So this
That's
is
what it
how,
sounds
so
like
my
you
whole
said.
thing is, so my
what I
whole
said
thing
at
is,
all.
this is how we speak of the community all the
Yeah.
times, is that we are always some oppressed victim.
Okay, so trans
So let me ask another question.
As a gay person, it drives me insane because I fought for LGBT rights when I got arrested at the front of the White House protesting Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal because I served in the military for 5 years. I grew up poor and black in Akron, Ohio, all right? I went to one of the worst schools in Akron, Ohio. I went to the military, risked my life multiple times, okay, to get every single thing that I have right now. There is no reason that every single black kid on the block can do that same thing.
So before we get into that, hold on.
We're not going there. We're not going there. We're not going to do that.
I think we should, though.
We're gonna get to all of these things. So you didn't vote for Donald Trump.
I did not.
What are the issues that you take with the president?
So, just really quickly to a point that George said, right? That I feel like the candidates that keep being put up year after year after year keep hardlining us. We're saying we're choosing the lesser of two evils, right? Where I think that it's really important that we see candidates that come from our communities that are talking about, like for me, right? I'm 25 years old. My student loan debt was due on Monday. Still haven't paid that, right? Because don't got the money to pay that right away. So thinking about what are ways that we see people who are experiencing the same thing, who are coming from our community, who also recognize the historical debt that this country has to black people and to people of color so that we can move forward. So we know that, like, none of us are free unless all of us are free.
Thank you.
So, but when it comes to...
That's a good t-shirt.
I'm free.
So
I don't know what he's talking about. That got nothing to do with me. I'm free.
So you voted for Donald Trump.
Yes.
Would you mind telling us why he won your vote in 2016?
At first, I really didn't know much about what Trump was doing. I just knew, okay, it ain't her. So I'm just gonna vote for him. And I was still coming into being a conservative and all of that, and I just got converted to a Christian. I'm looking at my Christian values and I'm growing as a Christian and I'm realizing, wow, you know what I mean? This man is really aligning himself with what we truly believe in, you know? And coming from the South, Charlotte, North Carolina, we're really Christians, you know what I'm saying? Where my people from, you know, everything is based off of that. So I'm not gonna support any party that's gonna support abortion, you know what I'm saying? We just now getting kind of comfortable with homosexuality, you know what I'm saying? And also, you know, it's just like with marriage, you know, divorcing and everybody sleeping with every time, Dick and Harry, you know, in the South, it ain't like that. So it's like, that's just that foundation of Trump. But now going into the economy. I mean, I'm a businesswoman. I have my own financial consulting company, and seeing what he's been doing to where my taxes are not that high, and I'm not paying for what I came from, AKA living off of food stamps and I got family on food stamps that continue to live off of it. And I know, listen, I came from the hood. I was just in the hood yesterday because my cousin just got out of jail, so I went to go see him. So, I mean, this is what I'm around every day. And it's like, my cousins got the same opportunities I got. All they know about is either they're gonna make it in basketball or they're gonna have to just try to get some type of job and make it. I'm like, no, let's start a business of like, let's get this chicken, let's get into real estate, let's do this, that, and the other.
Reform is helping certain people, you know.
It's helping me.
But it's temporary. You know, you have the tax
But
reform.
creating your own business is not
Listen,
temporary.
It's not
Depending on the
temporary.
scale,
It depends on the scale. It depends on the scale.
I just want to finish. I just want to finish my statement.
Sure.
What I'm saying is this: for me, because I was able to step out, and this is a chick who got a felony, who had 5 years probation, who got a felony for grand larceny, which came down from money laundering. So when I say I was doing white collar crime, I was out here in these streets hustling, scamming, please, okay? And so what I did was I made a choice to surrender my life to Jesus and live righteously. And so what he did was he put me in a position to where now I can teach people about finances and how to get out of the illegal game and clean their money the right way, get their credit on point, get into real estate, flip houses, and live a good stewarded life with money. So now I'm taking my cousins who all sell drugs. All of my cousins sell drugs. If they're not playing ball, they selling drugs. And if they in jail, they're getting out to sell drugs because they too old for ball. So all they know how to do is get money. So how do you tell somebody who's been getting money all their life, oh, so now I'm about to work a regular job, like get paid and they're gonna take tax out my check, and then they don't even know where their taxes is going, so they just work 40 hours a week. They thinking they about to get a nice little $500 check and say $250. They're like, wait, what? I'm about to go sell drugs again. So now I have to teach them how to get out here in the legal game and let's flip this money the right way. And again, the taxes that are placed on these businesses can either help us or hurt us. And what Trump is doing is helping me teach my cousins in the hood how to move so that they can get money and not keep busting people upside the head for money or selling drugs to people. These people that are continuously living on welfare, we're paying for it. So the more you're giving them in food stamps, the more you're allowing them to extend their lifestyle in the projects, the more money is coming out of my pocket as a taxpayer, and then now it's hindering my business. Well, now I'm not paying that much taxes, I got more money. So now if I need to say to homie, yo, listen, I got 5 racks, I'm about to invest this into you so we can start working on your business, and if we're gonna let the money circulate, once it circulates, you can go out on your own. If taxes is taking that money, how can I take that 5 racks and give it to him?
That's part of my problem with Donald Trump is he's literally making the rich richer. And what happens with that? The poor have to get poorer.
Raise your hand if you agree with the statement that I'm about to make. The welfare system destroyed the black family.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes.
Absolutely.
So for the people who did not raise their hands,
There's a lie on that.
please tell me
100%.
why you disagree with that assertion. You do not agree with that assertion.
That's a hard question
Disagree.
because it didn't help
Stats
or
are
hurt.
there.
It's the
Yeah,
same.
it's the same, right.
It's the same thing because I believe at one point, you couldn't get welfare if you had a man in the house or something like that. It's just.
And I think the other issue is like nobody's actually talking about like how that system, like those systems, affirmative action benefited more white women than it did anybody
Nobody
else.
talked about affirmative
Hold on,
action.
okay, like
Like, why do they bring up things that don't got nothing to do with
That's considered under the umbrella of social welfare.
Nothing.
Hold on, let him finish, let him finish.
No,
I'm
it's
literally about to make a correlation, but
Please.
What I was going to say is that a lot of these systems that literally have been stereotyped to look like it's black people who benefit the most from them is actually white people who benefit the most from them.
And I
So
wanna
that's
be
what I
paying
was
for
hold on, so that's what I was going to. So when I brought up affirmative action, I was bringing it up as a correlation. Like affirmative action is always sold publicly like it's benefited more black people
Wonder how many
when it
people
actually
say
has
yes,
benefited more
well.
white women. Welfare is a system that there are more white people in this country on welfare than black people. More white people have benefited from welfare than black people.
So like more people in the country.
But there's more white people in the country. So what does white people have to do? What does it do with black people?
So the
Why every time we talk about white people, black people start going back to white people?
Yeah,
Why
so
is
the
everything have to
conversation-
be
Because if you
conversation
understand how
about
systems of
welfare
oppression
reforms,
work,
we
then you
have
would
to bring
understand
racism.
that the system is being
It's
sold
racism.
publicly
We have
as
to.
something
We
that
can't
black
survive
people
without
or
it.
destruction of black
But
people
people
when
who talk
realistically.
about, like people who talk about
I
welfare
thought we said we
reform and all
wasn't gonna
that stuff,
talk over
like,
each other. We was gonna play nice in the sandbox before we got here. And
Finish,
we're not
please. And then we'll open it up to rebuttals. Please, George, please finish your point.
yeah, so again, my point goes back to like when, like just like what she was saying, like with the whole like whether it hurt the black community or whether it helped the black community, that's not really the issue. The issue is that all these are systems of oppression and all the systems are interconnected. And we can't keep looking at these systems as like, oh, well, this is this one thing and this affects this. Like even when she was bringing up her paycheck, she's like, well, my paycheck is going to this. Like, yeah, but your paycheck is also going to infrastructure. Your paycheck is also going to Medicaid. Your paycheck is also going to Medicare. Your paycheck is also going to Social Security, which is what helps my grandmother survive. Your paycheck, like, you know what
So
I
I'm
mean?
paying
it's
for your
like-
grandma, that's
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
But your kids
Hold
are
on,
gonna pay
like-
for you too.
You see
No,
what I'm
but can we
hold on.
can we make our own
I'm-
choice
wait,
to
wait,
say
wait,
that
wait,
we want to
wait.
put our own money to the
Sis,
side to help what
I'm
we
never
want
gonna
to
get. So again, what I'm saying is like, my point that I'm trying to make is that the systems are interconnected. So like, you
those
can't
systems that
just
are-
keep speaking like this system is this and we need to remove this money from this system. It's like, that's not how that works. These systems are all interconnected. So it's not like you're just removing something from here and it's not gonna have a chain reaction on the other ways that they're able to oppress us through a different system.
and I understand all this, and we can have these very academic conversations about systems of oppression and
That's not even
intersectionality and
academic.
all these other things. Like we can do
That's not
that
even
all day
academic.
long. Everybody has a degree here. But what we really
That was
need
an
to
assumption.
talk about is how do we help the people right now?
Thank you.
Exactly.
And
Thank
you
you.
help the people right
Well, you
now.
literally just said
What you
everybody
gonna
has a
do?
degree.
So
here.
What you gonna
let me
do?
ask this,
You
right?
help the
Y'all wanna help
people
somebody? Give
right
me
now.
20. Somebody give me $20. I'll give you $20.
One second, one second. So what are the policies that you have seen put forth either by conservative politicians or by our current president that you agree with, that you feel are benefiting the black community?
Just for example, you look at Trump, what he did with what he's doing with the tariffs for the trades. And when he's done that, now he's bringing jobs back into the country. When you get jobs back into the country, black unemployment is at the lowest it's been in American history, black unemployment's at right now. So that benefits not just me, but any person that's black. And how's that not benefit? Trump has everything, a lot of things Trump's done when it comes to jobs, the economy, when it comes to the stock market. I'm investing for the first time in my entire life and making a lot of money, by the way. Thank you, Donald Trump, for that. So, I mean, and I'm a black man, and my black man, is there an invisible wall there's a wall that says, oh, you're black, you can't invest? No, I go right through that wall and I invest. That's what blacks can do. We need to stop playing victim and start being victor.
Yes.
So let me
There you
ask
go.
this. For those of us who have a problem with some of the policies that have been offered by conservative politicians or by the sitting administration, I want to ask you a very specific question. Do you believe that either the sitting president and his administration offer racist policies or that the party that conservative politicians fall under offer racist policies?
I want to stop calling things racist.
Sure. No, but tell me
They
why.
want to hear that.
It's again like that's why I don't talk anymore in terms of racism. Like Toni Morrison said, racism's a distraction. She had a very good point on
Thomas
how
Sowell
it
said it,
distracts us
too.
from doing the actual work we need to do. I work in my community. I do HIV testing. I physically work with the people who I talk about. Like, you know what I mean? I don't tell people, go pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I go buy the goddamn boots for them because I have a little bit more privilege than them. But when we talk about it, I'm talking about anti-blackness because this is a global thing. And I think that's the part that they were bringing up earlier. Like, we can't just look at like some isolationism just of black Americans or just of this. Like, anti-blackness is a global thing. And it's all interconnected. And the problem is, like, people are like, oh, we shouldn't talk about the intersections. We've never had the ability to talk about the intersections. So this is the time that we actually need to start talking about the damn intersections because we've never had that opportunity. If the one thing I will say about Donald Trump is that, yeah, he opened up the floor for conversations. So now, because now for the first time ever in this country, white people feel
guess it
oppressed.
was necessary.
Now that white people feel oppressed, they calling me all the damn time because now they want to know what oppression feel like. And now they want to know, well, how'd you get through this? Because now I'm getting booked and busy all the damn time because white people feel oppressed. And that's who they feel oppressed. They feel oppressed by somebody that look like them and they're not used to that. A particular part of this country for the first time ever in their whole lives feel just as oppressed as my ass is.
And can we also talk about the tax bill? Because you talk
Sure,
about
tell
the
me
economy.
about that.
So my biggest issue was with that tax bill. I think recently one of the bigger companies got $10 million in tax benefits, and they're going to donate it. But that money belongs to you. That money should be for you and all of us and all our family. It doesn't belong to the 1%, 10% of America.
When we talk about black people and the 1%ers and the rich and all that stuff, why do we always assume that black people are broke? And let me finish before you jump in there. Why are we always, we're always operating under the assumption that all black people are broke, that there are no black people in the 1% of this country, that there are no black people that are CEOs, that there are no black people that are business owners, that there are no black people that head and run the corporations that benefit from these tax breaks.
why even use black girl magic for black
talking about
episodes?
black people from the
yeah.
prism of brokenness and oppression,
Yeah,
as
I got
if the black 1%ers don't exist.
Again,
As if
like that's
deep-
They're not getting a cut of that
Well,
pie.
okay,
Let's
well,
talk
exist
about
as
this
black
1%.
Well, we can talk about the exception and the rule, right? Because what you're speaking of is the exception of blacks.
And we need to start actually having
It'll be a
real,
good Disney movie, though.
real conversations about reparations, right? And what reparations actually look like.
God, not reparations.
That way, right?
Not reparations.
You guys are okay with Jewish people receiving reparations right now in this time, but you're like, oh no.
There's not enough time in the day
No,
for us to have
there's
the
not.
reparations conversation.
People have websites where they've actually created models and thinking about even if you forget the mule, right? What does actually 40 acres for black people look like? Or just recognizing that the trauma and the history that has been affected on Black people. Like I think about literacy, right? You can't tell Black people for 200 plus years that you can't read and then give them books and be like, why aren't you reading? Why aren't you reading without addressing that trauma, right? There's things within our
You have to
system,
talk about
within ourselves that we need to address.
You know what the problem is with the Black person?
The biggest
I'm gonna
gift
tell
that
you what.
conservatism has ever given me is the opportunity to see myself as an individual.
Thank you.
Amen.
I was
Part
just
of
about to
some
say that.
Collective.
Yes.
All the time. It just for me, it's just like
And I'm
when
gonna
we're
keep
Black
going
people,
for
like
that.
we're always supposed to be a part of some monolith and collective where we're just supposed to always be
But that's how
talking
white
about
people
the
think.
struggle
Why that's
and
so?
all of
And
that
this is
other
the thing.
stuff.
You speak compared.
So when
It's like
you want to talk about
why does
white
every
people-
Black person?
I
Why
wanna
why
hear
is a
this.
Black
I wanna hear
person?
this, though.
We have to always compare ourselves to white people for it to be some. But the white people.
no,
So
because-
it's like
because they see them as a
it-
perfect
In
example,
my
I think.
mind, I feel like. At the end of the day, I'm Bevelyn Beatty. That's all I am. And all I know what to do is when that check come, that check say my name on it. When that rent come and say my name on it. When my phone bill due, that say my name.
Who here was raised in a Black Democratic household?
Black Democratic.
I want to hear what your reactions are to Black voters being synonymous with the Democratic Party.
Well, here's the thing. The reason that Black voters are synonymous with the Democratic Party is because we've been on the receiving end of about 50 years of an onslaught of PR. It comes from our entertainers, it comes from our ball players, it comes from our singers, it comes from the Democratic politicians who, most of which are Black and empty, but are being used to sell us this idea of the Democratic Party being the home of African Americans. And that is why we vote 90% Democratic. Now, let me tell you something. There is not another demographic in the world that votes 9 out of 10 votes for one party. Why is that still something to be proud of? Why do we say that we are proud to vote 90% for Democrats? They don't have to do shit for us, okay?
wants to
Because we
respond to
know
that?
they're gonna get 90%.
You want to respond?
I think you're kind of essentializing just like Black people in general, because my perspective of, I didn't raise my hand, but like I did kind of grow up in a Black Democratic household. And like my family, I came here when I was 4 from the Democratic Republic of the Congo in Central Africa. And like, my mom didn't know Democratic or Republican. She just
knew policies.
She just knew policies, and she was watching the news and she was seeing what policies benefited her and her 3 children, because she was a single mother. So like, I think that's definitely essentializing the Black community. Just like you're saying you want it to be an individual, you're kind of not doing that by, essentializing this
But
rhetoric.
I have to use the example because 90% of us vote a certain
Yeah.
way. So just
Even
in
the
the
recent
context of the
primaries,
conversation, I have to say, well, if 90% of us are voting a single way, like, why is that? And to me, that's a big driver of why.
Yeah, and it opens yourself up for brainwash for a community as well, because political leaders, they see you voting that much blindly like that, they're going to lie to you and do whatever, because they know you're going to
She
lie.
just said policy. She just said
Hold on, yeah, from a policy standpoint, if you want to jump in, please.
It's not as much groupthink as people assume it is, as much as it's harm reduction. So one of the things that I often talk about, because I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm just Black and I'm George.
Yes, yes.
I talk about
Black America.
what we need to do in our communities, right? Local level, macro level, micro level, right? Because that's really where it starts. Voting isn't the beginning, voting isn't the ending, voting is just a tool in the toolbox. That whole toolbox includes us as Black people when we do get money and when we do get on and when we do get these things, going back and bringing other people along with us, not shitting on them because they couldn't pull themselves up by bootstraps. Again, like I always talk about that whole bootstrap argument because some people don't have boots. Yep. So it's like when you're telling people that they can pull themselves out of somewhere, some people don't even have anything to pull from.
What is it about conservative politics that have convinced you that either the Republican Party or conservative politicians have your best interests in mind as Black people in America?
My biggest thing is this. I feel like a lot of conservatives, they just want to mind their business. They want to get their hands out of your pot and have you do what they did, figure themselves out. And I want to go back to student loans because I pay student loans, okay? I went to school for fashion marketing and merchandising, did not use the degree at all, it threw it away, and now I got all this money to pay back. So now every month I pay my bill on time, it reports to my credit, and because I paid on time, I got good credit, you know what I'm saying? So I'm still able to utilize my credit to go further. So for me, I'm not asking for the government to make better policies for me to pay back my loans. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work my business, And when I got the money I need, I'm gonna pay it off. And then let me answer though. And then when I get the chance and I make that money for my kids, if my kids choose to go to college, me as a parent, that's my responsibility to make sure that I pay for their education or I
Fiscal
open the doors for
responsibility, people.
entrepreneurship. So, because my kids don't have to go to college. If they want to own businesses, they can own businesses. If they want to get their education, they can get their education and work for their brother or sister who owns a business. So, in my reality is this: how is it that the government keep having to pay back stuff that's our choice in the first place? Ain't nobody putting no gun in nobody head, making nobody go to school.
That's what
Period.
capitalism's saying.
No, capitalism is not saying that. Capitalism is not saying that.
Be successful.
No,
Be
capitalism, that's not
Be
true.
successful.
Capitalism is not
In
saying
this
that.
country.
Capitalism is
That's what she
saying that you could
said.
start a business through trade. If you want to go be a doctor or lawyer, you could do that. Or if you want to be an entrepreneur, you can do that. It's still a choice.
But it's a
regardless
field that
of
you're
what,
choosing.
specific
regardless of
field
what,
of
it's
study,
a choice.
but it's
That
still
don't
a
mean that
choice.
because, it's a choice, but now we got to pay our taxes for the fact that you wanted to go to school and now I got to pay for that.
Let's let him respond.
We literally shame the people who don't go to college, the people who are. America does. Like, we literally shame it. We say, like, for you to be successful in this country, you have to get a degree. You have to speak English, right? Like, there's all these things that are told to us that, like, we have to do to be successful in this country. If we don't do that, then you won't amount to anything,
Can I make
right?
a strong point? Because I agree with exactly what you said, is that we tell people in this country that they ain't shit if they don't have a college degree. And that is the biggest lie that we tell to people. And
It's
it
a
is
lie.
a huge lie that we tell to black kids, that they are nothing without a college degree. Because you want to talk about student loan debt. I got student loan debt, you got student loan debt, she got student loan
Everybody
debt,
got
these people got
student
student
loan
loan
debt.
debt. So what we're doing is we're telling these kids that they are nothing unless they have this degree, which is virtually worthless, okay, at a certain point. What we need to start telling our youth to do is to build businesses. Like, you don't need a degree to do that. And we have a system that is putting these kids, putting this idea in their mind that they need this degree to be worth something and making them indebted to the government at the same time.
At the same
You know what I'm saying?
Until we change that, we have
We're gonna
The
start to
solution is
lose.
entrepreneurship and capitalism.
We're gonna start
Yes.
to lose some of us within the next like 15-ish minutes. So I want to move along. We're gonna go into overdrive here. Who here believes that the black vote should be courted more?
Oh, then yeah, of course.
So for those of you who didn't raise your hands, why do you not feel that
I
way?
don't trust when they start courting us. Like, I'm always like, oh God, what do they want? What are they trying to do?
My sister's a
They haven't
conspiracy
really
theorist. I
helped
like
us
that.
before. What do you want us to do now? And then we're gonna be left with nothing.
A person has to serve the majority. So if we're talking high-level politics, no matter who you vote for, the majority of this country ain't me. It doesn't look like me. So it's never going to be anybody who's going to do anything that's going to make a movement in a needle on that type of level. Now, if you want to talk about micro-level politics and councilmen and who's sitting on the student board, who's sitting as the mayor, now we could talk about that all day.
I strongly agree with him when he says that we don't talk enough about local politics.
So that's where I'm at. That's why I
I
said, like,
cannot
court and
agree with
black
that.
vote,
That's
like, you could do
I think that the best thing that we can do in terms of thinking about advocacy is how do we set up certain policy and legislation to keep those people accountable, right? Like, we need to be critical of both sides and thinking how people actually know what's on the ballot. Like, what are the propositions that are happening? Because I don't think both sides are educating our people properly at all.
On the props.
That's true.
I would like to say, like, this whole conversation, listening to everybody, some things I do disagree with, some we are, but I agree with a lot of the entrepreneurship thing. Like, investment. I think that we all want the same things. Everybody wants a boot. We all want boots. Some of us want more boots than others.
Yeah.
And I think we need to figure out, how do we get there together? How do we work together to get what we want, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think we have different ways of getting there. And
No, I mean, we're good. That's it.
We're good.
Guys, I appreciate it.
It's a wrap.
Everyone signed everything.
Oh, can we take a picture?
We can take a group picture.
We gotta take a picture. Democracy. Black said. You did not just.